Hi everyone, Diane here, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about some golden paints which I have received from Milena of MAB Paints, and she's been very generous and sent me lots and lots of these wonderful paints. And with Christmas coming up, I thought it would be a good idea just to try some of them out. And what I've got here, I've been messing around here with the golden paints, and you can see how shiny they are. They are quite lovely, and there's so much you can do with them. I was just trying them out in the background and then sort of in the foreground and so on. And the ones I was using is this set here, which is called Golden, I believe. Let me just check on the website. The website is mabwatercolors.com, mabwatercolors.com, and I know that she's in the process of writing a new website, and this set is the Golden series of half pan gold chrome watercolor paints, and they have lovely names like caramel and what is it, golden cream and things like that. Anyway, I thought we would try them out. When I got them and she sent them to me, they came in one of these little tins which are like those, you get sweets in them, don't you? What do they call them? I've forgotten what they're called. Anyway, that's how they came. They were in here. And I've got lots of these tins and I use them for half pans. So I make up my own sets like this. This one says on the front purple flowers, and I use this for purple flowers, obviously. So anyway, I took them out of there because I wanted to put them in with some of the other ones that she sent me, and there are some more here that she sent. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sets. And when you open them up, they smell of, what is it? Cloves. That's what it smells of. It smells of cloves, not clothes, cloves. And these are beautiful silvers, and these are they change color when you look at them in a different light, and they're iridescent. And these are sparkly, and so are these. And they're really lovely. And so check her out. Have a look on her website. And she sells them on Etsy. So now I'm just trying to think whether or not I've got a code for you. I will check that out, and I'll put it on the screen if we do have a code for a discount, because I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'm doing this without anyone to refer to. There's nobody sitting in the chair where there's usually somebody who I can look at and she'll go, yes. Well, she's not there at the moment. Anyway, so the way to make these work really well, and don't be depressed if you can't get any color off them to start with, because you have to wet them. You have to put a little bit of water on each one before you start. And so you do that. And on these ones too, on all of them, and you have to leave them for a minute or two. And I think actually, to be quite honest, what I ought to do, and I might do that right now, I might get my swatch book out. I'm working on the fly, by the way. I have absolutely, about no idea what I'm doing when I start some of my videos. And then as I go along, once I start, so it's like you're in the studio with me, really, because I'm making it up as I go along, a bit like the rest of my life, really. So I'm just adding water. See, and that's starting to activate now. And you do really feel like you're activating these paints. It's not like with ordinary watercolor paints. And I think activation is sometimes the wrong word, but these you do actually feel like they've started to kind of spring into action. Okay, so I've got this swatch book here from Lightwish. Say that quickly in case they're blacklisted. No, joking. Take that out, Tamsin. So we have these wonderful pages here where you can try out your paints. And I'm going to go to the fresh page and I'm going to try out these paints so that I can say afterwards what they are. Don't you think that's a good idea? So the good thing about these pans, which came from Meaden, by the way, this paint box came from Meaden. you can take the insert out, so you can you haven't got the metal in the way. So I'm going to try these out and see how they go. You need plenty of paint. And you have to really wait for them to, excuse me, you have to wait for them to dry to get the best out of them, I think. So I'm doing this row fairly thin with a fair amount of water. And then what I might do, because you might want to use them for a background, but you might also want to use them for a foreground, so you'd want them thicker. Now you can see all the little pieces in there, little pieces of metal. I suppose it's mica. Not entirely sure what mica is, but I think that's what it is that makes them shiny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint these 6, first of all, quite thin. And then I'm going to come back and really pick up a nice lot of paint. And then I'm going to, well, let's see what happens. What I thought I would do was to, yeah, okay. So if you work hard at it, this one is not particularly opaque. Okay, this one I believe is stronger. Yeah. That's really, really strong, as is this one. Yeah, that's very opaque. That's good. This one, probably not so much. I think the smaller the grains of paint, the more the colour is covering. So this one, it's got very big pieces and it's just not going to do it. This one you can see, can't you, from the pan, that that's very small pieces. So that's nice and intense. This one shouldn't be too bad, but it's not as dark as that. Okay, and I can write their names on them because they are on the pans, and that's very useful because it's not always the case. That one is called Antique Gold. Let's find a pencil. Antique Gold. This one is called Golden Cream. That one's Caramel. I remember that. This one is Harvest Gold. This one Rose Gold. And finally, Saffron Gold. Okie dokie, so I'm going to let them dry. I've got another gold series here. This one, we've got Brilliant Gold, Champagne, Nugget, Shimmering Gold, Radiant, and Gold Leaf. And we can do the same thing and see how they go. We need to wet them first. This is a dot card, obviously. There's quite generous dots on here. Not everybody puts such generous dots on their dot card. You could get quite a lot done with these little dots. Let's see how that picks up. Brilliant gold. Nugget. They are all different. It is definitely true that they're all different. You wouldn't think, would you, that you could get so many different kinds of golden colours. One of these days I should look into how these things are made. I noticed the other day that you can buy the pigment. Oh, that one's not coming off very well. Might leave that one a bit longer. You can buy pigment on, where was it I was looking? Amazon, I think. And it said for artists to make their own paints. You have to be very dedicated to want to do that. That one's not picking up very well either. So this one is a bit faint. I think it's definitely a case of leaving it a little bit longer to soak up the water. So I'll put a bit more water on those two. And then if we go back to Brilliant Gold, maybe that's got nice and strong now. You can see that on the brush. Quite pretty, aren't they? Shimmering gold. I know she's got a new set out. I think, what did she call them? Pale gold, I think. A new set. And I think I'm going to have those. Yeah, that one really is quite pale. Radiant, that's picking up. And saffron, let's see how that one goes. Not saffron, sorry, gold leaf. Okay, so before I forget, we want to put Brilliant, Nugget, Shimmering, Champagne, Radiant, and Gold Leaf. There we are then, two sets of gold. And when you look at them, you can see they are A, very shiny, B, all different. Yeah, look at that. Interesting, isn't it? The question is now, what are we going to paint using these? So if you have any suggestions and ideas as to what to paint with these, I would be very happy to hear. Because so far, all I've managed to come up with is very super boring. And I've done something like this. And in case you're in the least bit interested, and you could do something like this for Christmas cards and things if you wanted to. What I did was I took one of the ones that's not super dark. We could use, for example, one of the lighter ones like Harvest Gold. No, Champagne Gold, rather, this one. It would make sense. And then what I did was I just painted leaves all over a piece of paper. Just, you know, the traditional 2 or 3 stroke leaf, just randomly, because this is a background. That's the idea. Not sure if you can see that. Should be able to see it reflecting. So there's been a lot of interest recently in transparent painting, and I think I probably mentioned this. I know I mentioned it in another video, but I'm not sure whether it's been released yet because, you know, things don't necessarily go out in the order that they're being done. But there has been a lot of interest recently in the world of art in transparent painting. And it's something that I've been doing for a long time. So you sort of build up. I mean, watercolor is meant to be done like that. That's the way it's done. It's no great big surprise. You're meant to use layers. I'm looking at it a bit from the side so I can see where I've been. Now what I'm going to do, to be honest, I'm going to go and feed the dogs now because it's time. And I'm going to let this dry and then I'll come back and I'll do the next layer. And we'll see where we go from there. Because that's just like the first layer for the background. Can you see that? So we'll leave that for a sec and I will be back. And yeah, I'll leave you that to look at for a second or two while I disappear, she said. I feel like a teacher going out of the room and saying to the children, now everybody be quiet and sit and do your work nicely. I won't be very long. I'll be back in a moment once I've sorted out this little bit of trouble in the corridor. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Be good. Okay, I'm back. Dogs are fed and everyone's happy and I've eaten a plum. Keep me going. What I've decided to do suddenly made me think what I'm doing here reminded me of an honesty painting. You know, honesty, that kind of flower that turns into seed heads, which are like flat silver dollars. Maybe you call them silver dollars in America. I can't really be sure about that, but that's what I'm going to do. So I have activated some of my silver here. Same paints. And I'm going to paint some circles at random in different silvers and slightly different sizes. And this is not meant to be realistic, of course. This is just going to be, oh, look at that one. This is just really a way of trying out these paints. So I'm just going to do that. And when it dries, I think it looks completely different. So we'll just do lots of silver circles, silver dollars. And try to vary the size a little bit, but we're not too bothered about detail. And when I've done the, whoops, that's a bit dark. Looks more like pewter than silver, that one. When I've done some over the whole page, see they're getting bigger as we come down the page. Then what I'll do is I will pick up a little bit more gold from over here And I'm just going to put in a couple in gold, different golds. Okay. And then, she said, making it up as she goes along, which is what we should all do, really, isn't it? Because what else is there other than making it up as you go along? So it's all very shiny and sparkly and nice. I'll put a light one here, perhaps. I'm using a Drawwell brush here. This is the Salon handmade watercolor brush from Drawwell. Mr. Mayama has his name on there. This is a small round, which is labeled as a 12. It's not the same as a 12 in the red series or in the Maestro series, but these are slightly less expensive than the others, and that's why I'm using these, because using a lot of this metallic paint is probably not all that good for your brushes, to be honest. I wouldn't think it would be a very good plan. So now what I need to do is to draw around these circles and to make something roughly like this. So I'm thinking of, making this outside edge and then going in a little bit. And so I think I need some ink. The question is, I could use pencil, I could use fine liners. Maybe I will. Perhaps I'll use fine liners, actually. I was thinking of using a dip pen, but I'm thinking now, maybe that's too heavy, that's too dark. I'll tell you what, I'm going to use brown. I'm going to grab a brown, that is to say sepia. We'll start with that and see how that goes. And then we can always darken parts of it up, can't we? So it's still wet, but that may or may not matter. Yeah, see, my idea was to just do them fairly light. But I might have to go away and dry this with a hairdryer. I think I will. Otherwise, I'll ruin the fine liner. You know how it is. Hairdryer, come here. Okay, let's try that again. So they're not quite circular, these things. They're kind of oval and different, depending on the angle that you're looking at them from too. And I think we need to put a little bit of stem coming up, a sort of off of which they would grow, so to speak, like that. And keep it abstract. And then we're going to come in . You might want to go around more than once, so, make it kind of scribbly. I can't hear anything today. My ears have blocked up again. I'm allergic to mold, and every time I do anything where there's any kind of mold involved, you know, mildew or something like that. My ears get blocked up, so I can't hear myself speaking. It's very annoying. So I can't hear the birds at the moment. So I don't know if they're singing or not. I think the swallows are getting ready to go. I'm putting in the stems now for the silver dollars. That's probably not what they're called. I'm probably making that up. You'll have to tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. So I'm just kind of roughly sketching in the outlines. And we'll attach some of them to the stem. And then what you could do also, you could do some more kind of gold in the background, sort of thing, or you could, I don't know, just make some of them a little bit darker. Because they tend to be a bit patchy, so they don't want to be too sort of boring. And we could also do a bit of spatter if we wanted to in places. And we could pick up some brown, if I can find any. I've got some what's it called? Granulating colours here. I could pick up some granulate. I don't think it matters whether or not it granulates for this particular job, but I'm going to try putting some of that in to some of these. Isn't that exciting? And I don't know what's going to look like when it dries, because these colours dry completely differently from what they look like when they're wet. Quite interesting. We could put some of it in the background as well, or we could put some more coming in from the side, partials. Well, can't say that's not interesting anyway, whatever else it might be or not be. Sort of thinking some of them ought to be a little bit darker. I'm going to be brave and put a nice really dark one in or something. Probably would be a good idea to let them dry at this point. Oh, look at that. Suddenly came up with some purple. I don't know where that came from. Don't know whether that works there, really. That was a bit sudden. I'll stick with the orange, which is green. It's all very confusing. Okay, well, I'm going to let that dry and see what happens when that's dry. We might want to come in with some more lines, some darker lines to outline the seed heads. Probably could do with another stem. That's not working. Let's see, we could pick up something a bit darker here. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and see. So this painting has got to the point where I'm not entirely sure that I'm entirely happy with what I've achieved. So I'm going to take this opportunity of, instead of saying, oh, I'm just going to bin it, I'm going to use it as a background for some experimentation with some of these granulating paints, which we recently were given to sample. This is Kuretake Granulating colours, and I know a lot of people have used them and said they hate them, and equally, by the same token, an awful lot of people have said, and they have done really good work, that they really love them. So, you know, horses for courses, as we often say. So what I'm going to try is, I'm going to pretty much at random, I've wet the paper, it's got its gold and sparkly stuff all over it, and I'm just going to drop in more or less at random these colours. I'm not even thinking about what I'm picking up. I'm going round the along the list of colours here, the row of colours, and just picking up whatever my brush lands on, and I'm just basically outlining the the silver pennies. I think I called them silver dollars before, but apparently they're not. They're called silver pennies. Kind of makes sense, except they're quite big. So we'll do that and go over this ink which I put in here, trying to achieve something which I don't think was very successful. So I haven't put any more colour into the actual seed heads themselves, and I'm going to let that dry and then see what happens. I'm holding it down there because it's obviously curled up, and because it was wet, and I probably should have taped it down first with a little bit of tape so that it didn't do that. But you know, this is life. Let's see if I can find some tape. And I can still stick it down now, washi tape. This is, you know, real life as it happens. I'll push that down. Push that down. Hopefully it'll stick. And I think probably what I'm going to want to do, I think, is first of all, I'll just dab off some of this excess along here. And I'm probably going to want to add more. So I'm going to hairdryer it. Okay, so we have now even more variegated colour in the background. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to spritz it again. And I'm going to go back to the same colours and add another layer. So just emphasizing the bits that are dark and sort of trying to, I need to bring the dark to this side here because this is so dark, and a bit here. Okay, so something like that. And this needs to come out a little bit darker here. So we're just embedding these silver pennies into what I made a bit of a mess in the middle, to be honest. But, you know, these things happen. Doesn't matter. We're trying to just sort of see how this granulating paint works. And then I think I need to do some circles on the actual pennies themselves. And I can do that in the granulating paint as well, I think. And we can just paint in like this. That's kind of what makes them identifiable, really, these circles that are on these seeds. I use more than one colour. I'm going to get the hairdryer out again in a minute. Now I'm going to try this. I'm not sure if this is going to work. This is some Schminke gold powder, which I mixed up yesterday, and I'm not sure, but I think, yeah, although I let it dry overnight, I can just reactivate it just as if it was watercolor paint, which I think it probably is, and I can just go in there and pick it up again, so it doesn't have to go to waste. Somebody did ask in the questions, she said, oh, I'd love to buy some of that, but I hate to think of throwing it away, what's left over when I've finished painting. Can I keep it if I store it carefully in some way? And I said, I don't think you need to do that because I'm pretty sure it'll reactivate. So there we are, it has reactivated. So I'm going to, this is dry now, so I'm just going to just come in here with some gold in the background to lighten these areas up a little bit. So I'll start principally with those, and then I'm going to put some gold also on the discs. This is just playing, really, at the end of the day, and correcting, perhaps you could say, the bits that, I don't know, parts of it sort of went a bit too dark. And just put some dancey bits of gold in here and there. And we could add a bit of white. I'm sort of leaning towards trying to get this bit here a little bit lighter, and I'm not sure how to do it. Maybe if I add a bit of this white gouache, I think that will probably do the trick. And that needs to dry now. That might just be enough. And then, so we've got so far, and I need to outline some of these circles. So I've got, this is a 0.8 Stettler micron, no, Pigma micron. And we'll just go around some of these roughly. Don't even have to go all the way around, and you certainly don't want to keep them anything like circular. Just make them kind of rough. And then we can sharpen up some of the outside edges. And these little bits that come in from the outside edge. A few more of them, sharpen them up a bit. This is the kind of painting that you just carry on working on until you either get so sick to death of it that you say, okay, well, I learned. So what did I learn from doing this? Or you keep going until suddenly something comes out and jumps at you and says, actually, you like me, don't you? If you just do this, you'll fall in love with me. And you never know what stroke is going to be the one that makes the difference. Maybe it's that one. I'm going to put some black here to try to take the attention away from this bit, which I don't like. So we just do something somewhere else and make this bit a bit darker. And this bit, which should, if you do that, sort of make it a bit darker nearby, then it can diminish the effect of the bit that you don't like. It can also work against you, but you can try. And my pen has decided it doesn't want to work anymore. I need a piece of paper. Why is it? I'm surrounded by paper, and I can never find anything to scribble on. Maybe, I tell you what, I'll give that one a rest, and I'll go for one of these. Calligraphy pens, one of these Kuretake things, and that should work. It's always a good idea to have several options available. Yeah, see, now that's starting to work. By making the surrounding edge darker, it makes this one lighter, which is what you want. Okay, I'm not going to fiddle with that anymore. I'm going to let it dry. We'll just put a few more dark touches in some of the angles. Take the eye away, and then maybe we'll just emphasize some of the lines on the outside edges again. But I really think now, I think that's okay. we could try. I'm not sure if this is going to work. Just spattering on some gold. When this dries, it shows up more, so you can't really be sure whether or not it's going to work. But we might as well use it up. And we'll spatter that all over. And then we'll call that a day. So I hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of fun messing around with various different materials and just getting to know them a little bit better. That looks like somebody's face. I think I need to remove that effect. And if you stayed this long and you've watched until now, then thank you very much, and I will see you again soon. So I'll say goodbye for now, and happy painting, and we'll get rid of that. That's better. And I'll see you all again soon. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.